And so nice to meet you all. My name is Chris Caines. I serve as a senior project director for a nonprofit called Resilience Force. We do a lot of workforce development in resiliency-focused careers. I just put a doc in the chat because I am getting the dreaded like exclamation mark with a triangle when I go to share my screen. And so I am unfortunately not able to share my screen in this moment, but that's okay. I put a doc in the chat at 9:38, and I'm just going to talk through it a little bit. One critique slash challenge or roadblock I often find with AI adoption is just the idea of being able to create actual value off the top. Like I think so often AI benefits are positioned as in the future we'll be able to do these things, or in the future we'll have all this great value creation. But I think that there are very real things that we can do with slight prompt tweaking or prompt engineering that really helps us get better, more useful outputs today. And so I have this Google Doc that shows like just a handful of little like tricks that I use to try to get better outputs out of the different AI models. This is mostly with ChatGPT in mind, but I think it works across a lot of different models. I loved Rachel's explanation of it's an intern. I like to say that the AI is so much smarter than us at certain things and has so many blind spots and is so much sillier than us at many other things. And sometimes it needs just a little nudge to be able to get it to get the kind of outputs that make it a useful tool for us to use. So a few of my kind of go-to moves include adding more context to prompts. So instead of just saying like, hey, can you review this email? Saying review this email as if you're a nonprofit executive director who receives too many vague partnership requests. So just like giving it a little bit more context behind what you're trying to accomplish, I find gets a really much more productive output. Sometimes tagging on a specific goal too is also helpful. So, our goal is to make our nonprofit sound credible or practical or easy to partner with. Helps kind of get the AI in that headspace. Now, as humans, we say, well, duh, that's of course what we want to accomplish from this output. But sometimes explicitly telling the large language models results in better responses. Another tool I use is this idea of like critiquing before revision. So instead of just saying, hey, I've like drafted this, please rewrite it for me, say, hey, can you think about what parts of this are actually weak and then go ahead and improve those. As somebody who really thinks a lot about like the human AI interface, I don't need it to rewrite the entire thing for me. I'm actually very happy oftentimes with parts of it, but I'm open to feedback and I'm open to ideas that might be I might be too close to see myself. And so this idea of encouraging it to give you some critiques before revising the entire thing. Another tool I use or another approach I use is asking for options, not just a single answer. So if you're producing like a 300 word document, you probably don't want 10 different versions of that. But if you're looking for like a really pithy, sharp 5 word title, maybe I'm okay looking at 10 different options. So saying, hey, give me a handful of different options in a couple of different styles. And then from there, ask that follow-up question where it says, hey, I really liked the second, fifth, and seventh output that you created there. Can you give me a few more that are in that kind of lane? And what's awesome about that is that you don't actually have to know why those three resonated. Oftentimes, the AI is like, okay, let me try to find the connective tissue between these three different outputs that I created, and let me create more in that style. And oftentimes, it'll be that follow-up prompt and the responses that are created there that are the ones that ultimately end up being the most valuable. The two last ones I wanted to just share, this idea of like sample to imitate. So instead of like write this in a professional tone, encouraging it to use a structure or a tone that sounds like you or something that like you have written in the past will help your AI just sound more human. I think a lot of times the outputs that come out, you can kind of tell, especially now, you could tell when something has been written by AI. And I think that there is a little bit of like a human aversion or a little bit reflexively like, you just like threw this into like ChatGPT, if you ever heard the idea of like AI slop or something. I find that this helps kind of smooth the edges. Generally speaking, I will very rarely just take an output and like share it with somebody, but I will like kind of smooth it myself. But I do find that this makes it a little bit less smoothing that I need to do. And then the last thing is, if you don't know the prompt that you want to use, you can ask ChatGPT to help you with the prompt. So like this is one of my favorite things to do, where I say, hey, I need help getting a strong answer on a topic. Before answering, rewrite my prompt in a way that you can actually answer better. It's like a little bit meta, and like this is an example of humans, we can, if somebody tells us something a little bit confusing, we can kind of repackage it and respond. But sometimes the AI struggles to do that without a little bit of a nudge. So it's like, you don't need to answer my exact prompt. Reclassify this in a way that you can actually respond to it as best as possible, and then go ahead and respond to it as a little trick. So I'll keep the document public, and I'm happy to respond to comments in there too, and always happy to talk this stuff too. And thank you so